Excuse
MJF.
me. Can I just?
Yes.
I'm gonna just call myself out here.
Get a little glass of
Daniel
water.
Bryan or Bryan Danielson. I keep saying that, but it's because I came up with the name. I'm going to always say it. He's got me so, into the plastic thing and all that. Now I can't get a decent 2-pint water glass, and I drink a lot of water. Right. So I've got an actual jar now.
It's a mason jar. It's a big mason
jar. And it fits in 2 pints of water perfectly. So I haven't got to stop and break in this to go and get more water. Because my kid, as much as I've caned it in my life, and I did cane it I had a hell of a run. My kidneys are in pristine condition because of the amount of water I drink.
Well,
my liver, I don't know. Actually, my liver's really good as well. So I was just lightening the mood a bit before we go into this. Let me have a sip of water.
Sure. Go ahead and take your drink. As I hope you guys didn't just sleep on that little comment Mr. Regal dropped in, that he actually named Daniel Bryan. I believe you knew Bryan Danielson, when he was young. When he was, how young was he when you met him?
He was 19, was he?
Okay, 19.
I think he was 19 and Brian Kendrick was 20.
So what is the difference? I guess what would be the difference in Daniel Bryan at 19 and MJF at 19 as far as maybe mental toughness, work ethic, backing up your passion with hard work?
Well, I didn't.
Did you see a difference there?
I didn't get to really see. I still don't know about MJF's work.
What if Daniel Bryan got that email? How would 19-year-old Daniel Bryan have responded, do you think?
It had just got on with life. But there was never. I mean, it's a different day and age. It's 22 years ago, and it was just when I met him, he was the one that we used to train. I ended up being the trainer. For those, again, I shouldn't expect people to know my story. Was spent from 1993 to beginning of 1998. I was in WCW. I rightly got let go from WCW in February of 1998. They should have let me go before because I had a problem with substances. I got hired directly by WWE. They realized that I had a problem. They took care of me. I've never had a problem since. That was from middle of 1999. But WWE told me to go away and sort my life out and come back. I went back to WCW for a little bit, very kindly, from Eric Bischoff. Was very kind to me. Again, whenever I was good, Eric Bischoff was good to me. Whatever anybody says about him, he let me go he should have let me go before. Any problems that's ever happened to me. Again, here's another thing that ties into this. Anything that's ever happened to me in this job has been my fault, or has been my doing. There's not, it's a different mentality. This job owes me nothing.
And you feel that way in life too. Everything you do in life, you say,
I take it on the chin.
Your life's wholly the result of the choices you've made.
I've made. So I go back to WWE in 2000, and I get sent down to. They had a developmental territory at the time called Memphis Championship Wrestling. I was told you go in there for 6 months and then you debut on the main roster, which is absolutely what happened. There is other stories out there of how I got to WWE. No, I was already getting paid by WWE. I got there, the trainer that should have been training people just wasn't turning up. And I like to train. I've never shirked away, and I still don't. I'll go and buy the ring every day. I ended up taking over the training job unofficially. A few weeks after that, Daniel Bryan and Bryan Danielson and Brian Kendrick turn up with Lance Cade and a lad called Shooter Schultz. And I have to give a shout out to Tom Carter, Reckless Youth, because he was already there, and he helped. They gave me a new lease on life, because they wanted to know. We used to train for 3 hours on the days that we weren't wrestling. And then anybody else, they all used to leave. And then in another ring, there'd be Daniel, I'd just go and get in another ring to stretch. So when everybody else left, there was always Brian Kendrick, Bryan Danielson, Reckless Youth, Tom Carter, and actually eventually Rodney out the Mean Street Posse. But Bryan Danielson was the one who was really interested, and we'd stay there till midnight or whatever. And so we were all bouncing off ideas, and it brought. People say it was good that we met each other. No, it was good that I'm on it. It was the best thing that happened to me that they came into my life, because I'd sort of gone through a lot of stuff and stagnated, and they brought me back to life. I was clean and my life was sorted out, but they brought my wrestling thing back to life. So they come from Shawn Michaels' school, Bryan Danielson and Brian Kendrick, and a couple of the others, Lance Cade and a lad called Shooter Schultz. They were already incredibly well trained. Well, the first night we did a show, I met them in the afternoon and we did a show, and I watched Brian Kendrick wrestle Bryan Danielson, and it was unbelievable. And they were two, and I was just like, wow, it was just incredible straight away. And then we ended up just bonding and whatever. So their work ethic was second to none. They wouldn't have got through Sean's school at the time, because that was a really tough school to get through. And they used to wrestle in a sweatbox in San Antonio with 100 degrees and do all the training, everything really hard. And obviously, if you got Shawn Michaels and you got the people that he had as trainers there was no easy route into this. There was people that used to run away from there that didn't make it, right? So their work ethic wasn't in question. Daniel Bryan, if he'd have got an email well, he did. He got told he wasn't going to, because I left in September, and then not long after, they said WWE sent him whatever. I don't know if it might have been a FedEx, could have been a phone call, could have been in person. I don't know. That's his story to tell. He got told, sorry, we don't want you. He didn't stop. He never complained. I kept in touch with him. Right, what do you want to do? Well, do you want to go over to England? Yeah. I don't know in the exact order, but he went over to England. And he lived in some not the most pleasant digs, and wrestled and loved it. And he'll tell you that he'd have been happy staying there for the rest of his life. He loved it. So that was what Daniel Bryan was like. Then he came back, and Ring of Honor was basically formed off one match, which was Brian Kendrick against Bryan Danielson. Sure. And so there'd have been no one email wouldn't have sent him 7 years later going off his nut on TV, or holding a grudge against me for 7 years. And I've never heard him have a grudge against whoever let him go at that point. I don't know, because I'd moved on to the main roster, and he's never told me. Whoever let him go at that time, I've never heard him say he's got a grudge against anybody. He just got on with being a wrestler. Now, MJF has gone on with being a wrestler, but he's had a lot of good fortune as well, right? Because he got quickly, right, whatever he did, and then he's got natural talent and natural ability.
That talent got him opportunities others wouldn't get. I'll give you an example. 2018 All In, he was he was at StarCast, and there was not a single person at his table. That's not a lie. At his line, his meet and greet, no one knew who he was, but he got put on the show.
Right.
You know, and there are a lot of wrestlers, you know, begging to be put on the show who are trying to do these things, but just by the very nature of his talent. And he got on the show. Great. And I think
see, if you get a break, great. You can never, this is something, so I hope people, this is going to be one of them horrible clickbait things that all these people are going to take all things out of context. I'm saying this now. I would rather, please stop using, first of all, stop using me as clickbait. Don't. I don't care about publicity. But you're going to do it anyway because you've got nothing better to do, and you're all ponces who do it anyway. So you know, on me, you're making a living off my back, as far as I'm concerned. But whatever. And now you're going to write bad about me, and I don't care because I don't read any of it. So
you can't win.
Right. if you get never be envious or jealous of somebody getting an opportunity. That's just wasted headspace for you. I tell people that all the time. That's what's a thing that's kept me around this long. I've seen it ruin my friends. I've seen it eat my friends up. Well, he's got that and he's got, and I don't care about. I don't care. And I know that's it. It's easy for me to say that because I'm just built that way, and I'm not competitive, so I don't care. But if he got an opportunity, good. See all these things. I'm happy for him. If he got a bit of a notice from me, he gets to there. I'm not that. That's not a bad thing. If he got there and nobody knew who was, and he got an opportunity, and it made it work for him, fantastic. And then he's done it again, fantastic. Everything he's done, and he obviously had worked on his skills, his wrestling skills, and he picked it up very quickly. He's picked up whatever he's picked up very quickly, where a lot of us haven't. I'm happy for him doing that. That's all. All these things I'm happy for him for. None of this is. It's just that he has took this thing, and now he's got to this point. He's showed his backside, if anything, to me the other day. What he did was just. Now I've got a real read on him. Well, he's got right.
You got him.
I've got him.
Yeah, you got him.
Whether he knows that or not, I've got him figured well out, right? And I know he's got incredible skill, and I know he's incredibly talented, and I know he can do all the talking, and he's got this incredible following and whatever he's doing. But I know now, and if he does beat Joe, now he's. But again, I know that an email has sent him off the deep end. How's he going to handle being world champion when all the knives come out? Everybody's, when they talk about a knife in the back, everybody, and then all the pressure's on, and he's got to be up every day now. Like every single day, he isn't going to have a second to himself if he's world champion, because that's what's happening with John now. He hasn't got a second to himself. Because you end up working, so I've said it about John Cena before, if you're, or anybody who's world champion, you whatever your schedule is, it goes from being whatever to being 500 days a year and 30 hours a day, right? That's what being the world champion is. It's 500 days a year and 30 hours a day. Or if you want to just put it in reality, it's probably 20 hours a day and 300 plus days a year, with everybody not like it, and you find out who your friends are very quickly when you become. I've seen it happen. I've had a lot of my friends become world champion. I'm still the friends, and if I've been traveling with them when it's happened, I haven't left. That's another thing. All of a sudden, you're the last person there every night. You end up with a very lonely life. You end up not seeing the people that you care about. There's all these things that have to come into this. Not seeing the people that you care about. There's a lot of relationships gone astray because of you not being there, because you have to keep representing your company. There's a lot of pressure that comes with being world champion. So if he gets to this point, great. Then he's got to stay world champion. And that's a hungry locker room with a lot of people who want opportunities. And you've got to be like John Moxley and be a fighting champion. You know, I've said it in the last few. John Moxley's taking matches on nights when he's got a world championship match. I said the other week he had a world championship match against Adam Page a few days later, and I said it on commentary. I wouldn't have done that if I was the champion of any kind. When I was any champion doesn't matter. I'd be trying to get out of doing matches. He's throwing himself into matches because he wants to keep himself sharp. Well, has he got? Do we know if he's got that kind of that backbone to do that? Because as far as I know, unless I don't know that much about, and I'll be honest, because of COVID, I don't know that much about AEW until I got there, and that's just the truth. I'm not hiding away from that. I was too busy trying to keep everybody like in survival mode, trying to keep everybody in NXT and in NXT UK alive and keep them, like I was there for them on the phone or whatever, because we had our own world going on. I was in a different company. But now I'm here. I'm sure while we're doing this, one of the people, and this thing's come up on the screen, one of the people can tell me how many matches he's had since he's been, actual matches has he been in AEW?
We'd have to look it up. But
right, in
not
3
many.
years. Right. Is he as battle hardy or as battle worn as John Moxley? Because John Moxley on a weekend not only does all this stuff, he goes out and does independent shows.
I saw him in New Jersey.
Right.
In a match at the Showboat with Nick Gage, with plate glass windows,
Right.
with doors, with blood.
Yeah.
And this was his weekend off. This was what he did for fun.
Right. That's him doing is what he does for fun. And you think he's going to let, you know, I know what he thinks of him. He just thinks no, I won't say what I know he thinks of him, but he don't think a lot of him. And he don't think he's got what it takes to hang on. If he does beat him, he doesn't think he's got what it takes to be the world champion. So I hope somebody does take this and tell MJF.
Mr.
You're
Regal,
already, all of us mentally are already on you. I'm gonna just do this now, without making it into a wrestling kind of a thing. An email has sent you off the deep end for 7 years. One email, somebody actually trying to help you, whether you know it or not, and then you've got you've got to have a whole locker room after you. Oh dear. Can you mentally take that? I don't know.
do you think he can mentally take not winning, putting all this into it?
I don't know.
And then
An email.
What happens?
An
he gets
email. An
Right.
email, and he. Sorry, I can't. I don't know how to. No, I can't say this, but he said something incredibly powerful, but was sad to me that it made him feel. This email. He said that it made him want to do something. What if he gets this opportunity? I don't even want to go there. This is his biggest opportunity, and this is his chance to shine, and it doesn't work out for him. Ooh. This is a horrible thing. In fact, let's get off this.
Absolutely.
Let's get off this topic because
Let me
there's a lot.
Let me switch. Let me switch up real quick.
Right.